get my 6. Looks like we got some deer up there in the upper meadow this morning. As you can see, the sun is just now coming up. It's morning as of this recording. Dun dun dun. Yes, let's take a quick little morning venture, see if we can find the hide and seek world champion. Isn't that neat? Shirt matches the saw. So I've been looking for this shirt. It's one of my favorites. Haven't worn it in a while. A lot of folks always comment on it. Where'd you get that shirt? I got it on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description box below. I don't sell it, but I am an Amazon affiliate now. What is that? It may or may not just be a shadow. Keep your eyes on it. Yeah, so in full disclosure, I do get like a 4% commission if you buy this shirt. They're less than $20. Aren't they neat? Hide and seek world champion. So I'm going to walk around up here. I've got my saw because I'm looking for some wood cookie material. I'm going to make some little elves today. Have you been checking out the... well, there was a deer. It must have ran. Been checking out the Christmas ornaments I've been making and putting in our Etsy shop. They're really turning out really nice. But I figured, since I'm going to be walking around here and there through field and dale and forest, why not take the camera, see if we might get an early morning glimpse of him, her, it, or they. So get my 6. And so while I'm doing this, I'm going to talk about something that I never, ever, I mean, like maybe 2 or 3 times I've talked about it here on this channel. Politics, everybody's favorite. Hear me out, though. I'm not coming on here and endorsing candidates. You know, it's funny. People are always trying to figure out if they think, well, you're, solid family man. You're a combat veteran and you live in the South, grew up in Appalachian. I bet you're a conservative. The other half of the folks are like, well, let's see. You don't seem to be racist because your wife is Asian. You got a biracial child. You live in the People's Republic of Charlottesville. I bet you're a liberal Democrat. What I'll tell you is that half of them are right. Actually, both are wrong. That's just a joke I heard once upon a time. I thought it was funny. I always wanted to be able to tell it, but the fact is I'm neither. I'm a what they called George Carlin, a counterculturalist. When I see which direction the majority's going, I run like hell and go the other way. And as the nation is like pretty evenly split, and it has been for some time, I'm running the hell away from everybody. Like Carlin said, nothingness rest his soul. The left wing and the right wing both belong to the same bird. But I think a lot of folks spend years before they figure that out. I know I did. I know in my youth, I was a liberal Democrat. And then as I got older, I'd become a conservative Republican for a while at some point before I became disenfranchised with both. And I think that's common. That's a common journey for most people. It's like Winston Churchill said, if you're not liberal at 20, you have no heart. If you're not conservative by 40, you have no brain. And if you're not neither by 50, this is what Crazy Lake's saying, you haven't figured it out yet. So I'm going to piggyback on Sir Winston Churchill there and put my 2 cents in. So, but here's the deal. It's funny because, the sun is really highlighting the forest. Yeah, I see that too. Keep your eyes on it, see if it moves. Giving us a good view here. We are in this is the midterm election cycle, and as of this recording, I guess some stuff's still up for grabs. So I want to share a story about 2 of my, look at that, I gotta use the sun to block the sun from my eye, or use the phone. I want to use a story of 2 good friends of mine, and how they've kind of been, these guys are very political, and this story highlights one of the great reasons why I'm not. So I've known both of these men for about the same period of time. I've just met them both since coming back to the U.S., having spent 10 years overseas. Met them through family. Our sons are all friends, good friends. They've gone to school together for years. They had play dates together. They played on sports teams together. Have sleepovers at each other's houses together. But these men, like their wives and like all of our friends, this is one of the qualifiers you got to be for us to even consider befriending you. They're not one-dimensional. And by that, I mean, they're not so obsessed with politics that it's the only thing they can talk about. Have you noticed how many people in American society, they sound like sounding boards for whatever legacy media channel they watch. It's like, if you want to know what CNN headline news is saying, go talk to this dude that is left of center and is one-dimensional and really has no life, no passions, doesn't realize his purpose, or her. No purpose. What it boils down to is purpose. They don't know why they're here other than to exist for a set period of time, consume air, put nutrients in their body, and then expire at some point. But you go talk to them and you'll hear everything they're saying on CNN. And similarly, there are those folks who have no purpose. They're one-dimensional, but are conservative, and they can tell you everything they're saying on Fox News. This is what Fox News is saying today. Those people bore me. I just kind of shake my head and think, what a life unfulfilled, to be so consumed. But anyway, to each his own. I'm consumed with nature. I'm consumed with my wife and my son and the things we enjoy doing. And I'm consumed with fitness. I'm consumed with UVA football, which is where we're going here in a few hours. By the time you see this video, the game will have already happened. UVA will have already upset the University of Pittsburgh Panthers. Fingers crossed. But so these two guys, they're not one-dimensional. They're not obsessed, though they are very strong in their views. They're very staunch in regard to the sides they support. So here's the story. Here over the last few weeks, I'd go to one guy's house, or he'd come by here, and he would make the comments. He would say stuff like, gosh, this country is in such a mess. Can you believe what's going on? I don't pay attention because I don't care. I do not care. I heard something back here. So man, that sun is so bright. What a beautiful morning. Here it is, mid-November, and we've got a cold front coming through. I'm glad I put firewood in the house finally. It's going to get down into the 20s just tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. But it's going to be in the 70s and sunny today. Perfect weather for football. Of course, isn't all weather perfect for football. So, but he's going on and on about abortion. Can you believe what's going on with abortion? I'm like, I'm thinking, what am I going to do when I get home? He's going to, and this stuff about Trump, the second coming of Trump. Can you believe people even need to discuss whether or not that guy's going to run again, whether or not he should run again, whether or not we should elect him again? It's like, gosh, I'm so irate. And then and then you got the unemployment number and blah, blah, blah. So this is the one guy. He's going on and on and on and on. Okay? So the other guy, I see him, and this has been going on for the last few weeks since everybody's seems to be heated because of the election. The other guy, same thing. And I'm like, man, and then these guys only get like this around election time. Okay? So in their defense, these are good guys. They're still my friends, going to remain my friends. They're not one-dimensional. They just get a little into it around election time. They're not like these types that are into it all the time because they are one-dimensional, and that's all I mean, if it wasn't for like some piece of technology with bought and paid for news from one side or the other telling them what to think, these folks wouldn't know what to think. That's like 97% of society, and it's terrifying. That's why I run from the crowds. So the other guy, same thing. He's like, gosh, can you believe the mess this country's in? I stopped here for a reason. It's because this is where I heard the footsteps. And in last night's video, this was around the same location where after they thought I'd stopped recording, we heard the footsteps, and then we saw a dark object. So keep your eyes open. And by the way, I am an affiliate of these NaTiddy chainsaws too. These are awesome. This is perfect for my wood projects. Those wood cookie Christmas ornaments I'm making. I've got a downed birch up here that's got a lot of limbs on it that are nice and dry. You got to check out the stuff I'm making and putting on our Etsy store. And a lot of folks have said, oh, that's great, but I can't afford it. Well, hey, maybe you'll win our random drawing. Maybe you'll win some of this stuff for free. Submit your real, true ghost stories or any stories associated with paranormal or cryptids, dun, 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 like the hide and seek world champion, to the channel at the email address is crazylake@mail.com. Crazy Lake at Mount. Yeah, I'm crazy, dude. I don't care about politics. I don't pay attention. I don't follow the crowd. And when the country's divided and the crowds are pretty equal, I run from everybody. I'm nuts. Okay, but it saves my sanity. Tell you, when you live in a crazy world, you got to be insane to make it through if you want to survive. So anyway, crazylake@mail.com. And when I do read the ghost stories, we have a random drawing and somebody somewhere wins some of that stuff I make and I'll mail it to you. So the other guy, same thing. Country's in a mess. Can you believe it? Can you believe, you aware what's going on with abortion? Can you believe people even have to think about that issue? It's pretty straight, cut and dry and narrow. And, Trump, all the talk about Trump. Can you believe they're actually even discussing it? It's like a no-brainer whether or not he's going to come back, whether or not he's worthy to be elected again. And so he sounded just like the other guy. And they've been doing this for the last couple of weeks. They're all riled up. Well, since, I never, ever, barely ever talk about politics with my friends because it's such a non-issue with me and my family and the people that I befriend. It's such a non-issue with them as well, except for a couple of them around election time. They pay a little bit too much attention. I think they'd benefit from paying less or no attention. But I guess ignorance is bliss and blah, blah, blah. Whatever, dude. What is it? I made a video years ago called "There's Nothing Ignorant About a Life of Bliss." Okay, so you think you're informed. I'll quote Mark Twain here. People like me who don't watch the news are uninformed. Sure, okay, I admit it. But people who do watch the news are misinformed. And that's just a fact, Jack. I used to be a journalist. I got out of it because of the way they wanted to pay me to twist stuff. I used to work for liberal outlets and conservative outlets at the same time and report on the same story, but just write them in different ways. And it was all about pissing the people off who read them to garner the clicks, to get the views, to generate the revenues. So if you think journalists are unbiased, they don't care. They're trying to get paid. So anyway, yeah, so I guess I'd rather remain misinformed and ignorantly live a life of bliss. There's nothing ignorant about being bliss. So anyway, not knowing where either of these guys really stood on the issues, because all they did was bitch and complain. And they're positive guys. They're both positive guys. They're good family men. They're supportive husbands. They work and earn, okay? They both work and earn to provide good lifestyles for themselves, their families. They make sure their wives live a life of comfort, and they make sure that they have the ability to educate their children. They are responsible, productive members of societies. They aren't these whiny-ass little bitches who look for strong, independent women to work and support them while they go around clanging like on a drum about how, the world should be and life's not fair, and if everybody would just see things their way, well, they wouldn't have to work anyway because there's enough resources to go around. Why don't they just give it to them for free? They're not lunatics like this, okay? They're good, productive members of society. So this past week, I happened to see them both. And so they were going on and on. Country's in a mess. Both of them saying the exact same thing. Country's in a mess. Can you believe we even need to discuss this? Gosh, can you believe they're even talking about whether or not Trump should be president again? So the first guy, I said to him, I've known you for years, and you've been to my house a dozen times or more. I've been to your house. We have both, as adult males, spent the night at each other's houses. There's been times maybe when the power was out during a winter storm, or maybe we have a huge Thanksgiving Day bash every year, and half the people that come end up staying. But I said to the guy, this is friend A, I'm like, I have no clue which party you really identify as being affiliated with or associated with. I know you've been, up in arms, so to speak, here lately because it is an election cycle and you're really adamant about the issues. Do you mind if I ask? Because they know, I don't care. They know that. So I asked the guy, are you left? Are you right? Are you conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican? He looks at me like he's shocked. He goes, Kevin, of course I'm a liberal Democrat. Can't you tell? That's why I'm so upset. I was like, oh, well, no, actually I couldn't tell because you're not one-dimensional. There are more things in life than just politics that you're into. Otherwise, I wouldn't be your friend. Liberal Democrat, okay. So it got me thinking. I was actually on the way to the other guy's house a little later that day. We had something we were doing together. I'm going to leave it at that. And I thought, he must be a liberal Democrat too, because he's saying the exact same thing the other friend's saying. And he's so upset. He's so angry. He's so riled up. He's so unlike himself. Now, most people in society, they are like this all the time because they're one-dimensional. They're consumed with politics. They're consumed with whatever legacy media channels they prefer are pumping into their brains, through their eyes, through their ears, through all their senses. They're not out here taking in nature, taking in this clean country air, noticing that their child has grown 1/4 of an inch in the past week, because they're not paying attention to the shit that matters. They're paying attention to the shit. But I get to the guy's house and I'm like, I don't want to assume anything. So once again, he's bitching, bemoaning, country's in a mess. Can you believe this everything's supposed to be a non-brainer. Shouldn't even be discussion about like abortion, Trump, all this stuff that's hot topics. I said, same thing. Said, we've known each other for a while. Been to each other's houses. Our kids have slumber parties. They played on sports teams, gone to school with each other for years. But we never talk about politics because we have so many other things to talk about. I know you're upset right now because of what's going on. I know there's still some key states that are still in toss-up, still in limbo. Do you mind if I ask what side you're actually rooting for? I mean, which team you're on? And he looks at me, dumbfounded, and he says, Kevin, of course I'm a conservative Republican. Can't you tell? Well, I didn't tell him, but I'm telling all you folks right now, no, I couldn't tell. The only thing I could tell was that he was as upset, irate, and bent out of shape as our other friend. And these two guys are friends as well. They know each other. They like each other. They're emotionally intelligent type people. Another criteria for us to be your friends. Have you ever noticed how some people, you think they're so ate up with politics, or they're so into their views, their political party, that if you don't agree with them and think like them and believe like them, they will unfriend you? You heard a lot about this, especially last time, Trump versus Hillary Clinton. People were unfriending each other on Facebook. They were stopped. They would no longer talk to friends and family if they supported Trump or if they supported Hillary, basically if they were the opposite of them. Guys, that has nothing to do with being political. That has to do with being toxic, and that has to do with being emotionally unintelligent. If you have 95% of everything else in your life in common with someone else, common interests, especially, if it's family that has not been an abusive, toxic family type situation, and you allow political differences like that to end a relationship, or let's say you have neighbors, acquaintances, semi-close friends, but you find out they don't agree with you politically, so you cut them off forevermore, you're not political, you're toxic. And you're emotionally unintelligent. Go read a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. I finally got it. I just started it, but it's stuff I've kind of already known. Let me tell you, if you've got people that have cut you off because you don't agree with them politically and all that, and for that simple reason alone, they've cut you off and you're feeling bad about that, don't. They did you a favor. You found out the quick way how toxic that person was, and they are not worthy of being in your presence. You go, now listen, these two friends I have, one's a liberal Democrat, one is a conservative Republican, but we're all still friends because none of us are toxic and we're all emotionally intelligent. But that's a secondary point. My primary point of this and this entire discussion is, it doesn't matter which side you're on, which side you support. If you allow these things to consume you and you become obsessed with it, it will drive you insane no matter who wins. It will drive you insane no matter who wins. And I've seen it before. I don't even need to predict it. When they do finally call the tight races and we know who has control of the House and the Senate, all people on both sides are going to equally still be upset equally. Why? Well, if they supported the left, they're going to be upset because, whatever. Trump's still alive. That's enough to upset them. If they supported the right and the right wins, they're going to be upset because they didn't win by this huge red wave that I'd never heard that until my friends were telling me about it. So it's one of those situations where you just can't win for losing. Both sides are insane. sit there and ask yourself, if you're one of the people that are so obsessed with this stuff, just ask yourself this question: is it really worth it? Is it really worth it when you have all this out here and a freaking college football game up down the road here, coming up here here in just a few hours, and beautiful, beautiful Christmas ornaments? Some crazy dude that everybody thinks is insane because he goes around looking for the him, her, it, or they that lives in the woods behind his house, while he's pitching the stuff he makes with his saw that he's an affiliate seller from. NaTiddy saw link is in the description box below. Guys, turn off your televisions. Actually take it outside in the yard and bash it up with a sledgehammer. Go outside and play. We'll see you for more next time.